Welcome to a new What I Eat in a Day. It's been a while and I haven't had time to film or edit any videos, but anyway, this day I had eggs and avocado toast for breakfast. I can't stand runny eggs, so I always add them to a bowl and then I season them with herb salt, turmeric powder, and black pepper. And then I whisk them and cook them sort of into like an omelette. Probably not an authentic one, but yeah. And I like to cook it in avocado oil. For the bread, I used sourdough and I store it in the freezer so it lasts longer, but as a bonus, it can also lower the GI index of the bread, which is great for your blood sugar. I removed any parts that were too burnt because those burnt parts contain acrylamide, so I feel like it's unnecessary to eat it. And then I simply mashed an avocado on top, half an avocado. I like to sprinkle on herb salt on avocado toast, but since I was gonna add sauerkraut, which is already pretty salty, I decided not to. So yeah, I just added the sauerkraut. I ate the eggs first since they are higher in protein and it can help to balance your blood sugar better if you eat protein before starchy carbs. For lunch, I had leftovers. It was a lemon herb chickpea stew I found on Pinterest. I will link it below. It was so insanely good. So fresh, you need to try it. But I needed something to have with it, so I cooked some oat rice in herb salt, and then I just reheated the stew in a pot. I did use some avocado oil while cooking it, and sometimes I don't use oil, so I also always want, a source of healthy fat, so I always add usually half an avocado, but I didn't use a lot of oil, so yeah, I still added the avocado to balance out the meal because I want all of my meals to consist of complex carbs, healthy fats, and protein. In the afternoon, I made a yogurt bowl and I thawed some frozen pomegranate and blueberries first. Then I cut up a kiwi. Honestly, pomegranate, wild blueberries, and kiwi each contain so many great compounds that you don't want to miss out on, so I really do think that if you can, you should eat them like pretty much every day. I have blueberries almost every day, but kiwi and pomegranate not every day. Apparently, I forgot to press record, but I added Greek yogurt and then I added some raw honey. I usually don't sweeten my foods, but I've read more about the benefits of honey, so I have been consuming it more, but only like maybe a teaspoon, not every day, but if I consume it, it's usually a teaspoon. It's prebiotic, anti-inflammatory, it contains antioxidants, and it's best to not heat it to preserve all of the beneficial properties of honey, so adding it to a yogurt bowl is perfect. I also love to add cinnamon and raisins to my yogurt bowls, and yeah, then I just added some muesli for crunch. For dinner, I made a mushroom stew that I also found on Pinterest. I showed the leftovers of it in my last video and I will link the recipe in the description, but I did some tweaks to it and I always heard that when you cook mushrooms, you should add them to your pot or pan without anything in it and then let the water evaporate from them before adding any oil. So I did that before adding avocado oil. I think the recipe said you should add butter, but I used avocado oil and then I added the onion and garlic. Then I added some herbs. In the original recipe, they used either cornstarch or white flour, I think, but I like to use chickpea flour instead because it's higher in protein and contains more fiber. It might not thicken everything exactly as much, but it still does a pretty good job. Then I added soy sauce and mustard. I just have to say, I've really been in a rut lately when it comes to cooking and baking and, creating new recipes. I feel so uninspired and like I don't want to cook and like I don't feel like filming anything because I don't feel inspired, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's why I haven't been posting as much, and also I have a lot going on, so I don't feel like I have time to do stuff. Instead of veggie broth, I like to add water, and then I just add herb salt to avoid any added sugar or flavor enhancers or whatever store-bought veggie broths may contain. Then I added in potatoes and then some canned cannellini beans for protein. And then I added some pea milk. I actually do think it was a little too much liquid. I would have wanted a thicker stew. It might be the chickpea flour, but as I said, I still think chickpea flour thickens stews and soups pretty well, but I guess not this time. I did contemplate blending half the soup, but I sort of thought it would get thicker in the fridge later on, like stuff usually do, but it didn't. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, in the end, I added some frozen kale and frozen parsley and let that cook through before plating it up. I also added black pepper, actually. And it doesn't look too appetizing, partly because of the lighting, but probably also because it was so watery, so everything sunk to the bottom. But it was still very tasty, not as tasty as my lunch though, so if you want to try any recipe from this video, I would highly recommend the lunch recipe. I actually did it once again yesterday. I also omitted cilantro from it. So keep that in mind, because I don't like cilantro, only in smoothies, but yeah. Anyway, that's all I ate this day. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.